Another nail in my coffin!
Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my series Nails in a Coffin, where we learn that with great kills there must also come great nails. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. We're about halfway through the Saw franchise, and I'm covering Saw 5 this week. Before we start, I do want to ask if you hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, and with your help, I think I can do that. I really would appreciate it, so thank you in advance. Now, I only have a few more weeks left to cover all these movies because I've been getting various messages from Jigsaw.
You get enjoyment from nailing victims. It's a game to you. Now, it's your game. You have 32 days to cover the rest of the movies in this franchise. If you fail, you'll be one getting nailed, and it'll be game over.
Yeah, this may be serious, but here's a summary of the average nails in a coffin for the first 4 movies in the Saw franchise. Saw 1 coming in at 1.4 nails. Saw 2, the lowest, with 1.25 nails. Saw 3, really high, 2.57 nails average. And Saw 4, we just covered last week, coming somewhere in the middle with 1.61 nails in the coffin average. We learned in the last movie that Detective Mark Hoffman was one of Jigsaw's proteges. Even that John Kramer is dead, Jigsaw will live on, and Hoffman is carrying out that legacy. So let's find out how these victims do with my nails in a coffin. So let's get nailing. We start this movie with another early kill. Seth wakes up strapped to a table in a dark room, and a tape of Jigsaw shows up on a TV. He tells Seth that a pendulum will lower from above and cut him in half, unless he crushes both of his hands on either side of the table. Now, after some hesitation, Seth does put his hands in these devices, presses the buttons, and the device slowly crushes both of his hands, pulverizing them. Once that's done, the pendulum does stop swinging back and forth and raises up. Seth thinks he's survived the trap, but the collar around his neck hasn't released. He's screaming for help, and then the pendulum starts swinging, lowers again, and slowly cuts him in half at the waist. Our first set of nails for Saw 5 go to Seth, and I'm awarding him 2.5 nails in a coffin. Now, he was one of the few people in this franchise so far to actually complete a Jigsaw trap. However, this trap was not set by John Kramer, it was Detective Hoffman. And he made the trap inescapable. You know, Seth crushed his hands within the time frame. Now, if this was John Kramer trap, he would have survived, but Detective Matthews wanted Seth dead since Seth was responsible for the death of Matthews' sister, Angelina. He was released from prison early due to technicality, and Detective Hoffman wanted him dead. Now, I would have given him at least 3 nails in a coffin, but he was responsible for the death of Angelina, and those deaths did lead to his predicament. Now, I don't always consider previous actions of the victim, only when I feel it's warranted with the nail rating, but since it was inescapable and there was a reason why Hoffman did this, I'm going to take a little bit of points off and give Seth 2.5 nails in a coffin. We then jump to the end of Saw 4 when Detective Strand was locked in a room with the corpse of Jeff, Lynn, Amanda, and John Kramer. He finds an exit out of the room, and the door opens up. There's a tape recorder hanging there. He pulls it down and plays it, and it's Jigsaw telling him to back off or else. Ignoring this warning, Strand leaves the room, and he's trying to find another exit. Eventually, he's attacked and knocked out via syringe by someone in a pig mask. He wakes up in a room sitting in a chair with his head inside a glass box. He's trapped, can't get out, and soon the box starts to fill up with water, and anything he can try to use is kind of out of his reach. The box is about to fill up with water, he's about to drown, and this scene does build a good amount of tension. But he makes a quick decision, pulls a pen out of his pocket, stabs himself in the throat into his windpipe, allowing him to get air into his lungs with the discount tracheotomy. Our next death occurs after 5 people wake up in a room with a collar around their neck attached to a cable. So all these cables are connected, and if one of them moves forward, it's going to pull the others back. They all have to move forward to get a key that's in a glass box in front of them. Now, behind them in the wall are blades, and if they're pulled back in the time frame, they're going to be decapitated. As soon as one of them moves forward, the timer's going to start, and there's only 1 minute till the cables retract. Of course, nobody wants to work together. It's every man and woman for themselves. So one by one, 4 of them are trying to get their key to unlock the collar. The time runs out as Ashley was unable to get her key in time, and the cable retracts, pulling her into the blades and cutting off her head. I'm going to award Miss Ashley 2 nails in the coffin. You know, she did try and get the key for the lock, and I really couldn't put all the blame on her, but nobody wanted to work together. Jigsaw said on the tape that to go against your instinct, and now all these people were privileged, so their instinct would have been to save themselves and not worry about others. If everybody worked together, all of them could have survived. One person could have unlocked their collar, and then they could have retrieved the keys for the other people, but nobody wanted to do that. This was a group fail here, and I can't say Ashley did anything stupid. The others just went for all their keys first without much discussion, and I'm going to have to go down the middle here and give Ashley 2 nails in a coffin for her actions. In the next room, the remaining 4 find bombs and 16 glass jars suspended from the ceiling. Another tape recording tells them about 4 chambers in the walls that can provide shelter from an explosion that's going to happen. The keys to these chambers are in the jars, however, only 3 of them fit into the locks. A 60-second timer starts once the door shuts and it starts counting down. The bombs are going to explode, killing anybody not in one of these chambers. Charles attacks Malik and brutally beats him, stating, hey, one of them has got to die. He starts smashing all the glasses. Britt and Luba each get one of the keys and crawl into one of the chambers. When Charles finds a key for himself, he's attacked by Luba. So Charles drops the key and it lands in front of Malik. So embracing this opportunity after he was knocked out, Malik grabs the key and enters the 3rd chamber. Moments later, Charles is killed by the explosion after the time runs out. Good old Charlie earned himself 1 nail in the coffin. Anyone could see that there was enough room in these chambers for more than one person. But Charles wanted to be an asshole and even attack Malik. That's why Luba attacked Charles, causing him to lose the key. He could have worked with the others, which is exactly what Jigsaw had been telling everybody since the beginning of their ordeal. Also, he broke all the glasses first, giving everyone else an opportunity to get a key first. This was an easy trap for all of them to survive. There was plenty of room and time, but Charles was selfish and he made his decisions, and that's going to result in him getting only 1 nail in the coffin. Luba, Britt, Malik enter the next room. They receive instructions for their next test that they'll go to connect 5 cords to the water of a bathtub in the middle of the room. This is going to release 5 locks on the door, and if they don't do this in time, bomb's going to explode. Cords, however, are too short. Someone has to get in the tub to complete the circuit. Luba immediately tells Malik to get in the tub. He's refusing, and she attacks him, swinging something at him. It sends him backwards, and he's laying on top of the tub. Now, Luba probably thinks Britt is on her side, but nope. She's standing next to her. Malik thinks he's done for. Before Luba can kill him, she's stabbed in the neck by Britt. Now that Luba's dead or dying, Malik and Britt pick up her body, place it in a tub. They hook up the 5 cables to each of her limbs and lastly her head. This completes the circuit and successfully opens the door. I'm giving Miss Luba 1.5 nails in a coffin. You know, she did have her self-preservation in mind, but she did attack Charles, and this helped save Malik, who she just tried to kill. But like Britt said, she can't be trusted. Jigsaw said they all had to avoid their selfish instinct. And Luba just wasn't about to do that. You know, she would have turned to Britt. It probably would have turned on Britt, I should say, right after Malik was killed. And she knew this, and so she could have been more cautious about her surroundings. And this is one of those cases where the victim's ego got in their way. Now, I understand she wanted to survive, but they all could survive these traps if they worked together. Now, they didn't, and I feel that was kind of the stupid thing to do, so I'm going to give her a little bit of credit for earlier, but I still think she made a lot of dumb decisions, costing her life. And I'm only going to give her 1.5 nails in the coffin. Only Britt and Malik are left, and they're finding their way into a room for their final trap. They have 15 minutes to fill a beaker with their blood. They need 10 pints in total. Now they're placed their hands in these spinning saw blades. If you don't get the blood sacrifice in time, bombs are going to explode, killing them both. So they realize all 5 of them from the beginning were supposed to work together, and all 5 of them could have survived all of these traps. Having no other option right now, Britt and Malik placed their hands in the blades, cutting their hands in half, well, from the fingers. The beaker starts to fill up with blood. Eventually, both of them collapse from the blood loss, but they were able to fill the beaker with enough blood. This unlocks the door, and they both survived their final test. All of this was going on, Agent Strom is hot on the tail of Detective Hoffman, who he believes is involved with Jigsaw. His investigation takes him to an abandoned house from Saw 2, which eventually leads him to a room with the glass coffin. There's a tape recorder in it. He reaches in, grabs it, hits the play button, and the tape says he must lay in the coffin if he's to survive. He'll have some injuries since it's filled with broken glass, but he will live. Strom hears something outside of the room, and he hides, but then Hoffman walks into the room. Agent Strom thinks he's got Hoffman dead to rights. After a scuffle going back and forth, Strom was actually able to knock Hoffman into the coffin and slamming the lid shut. That was his fatal mistake, as this was Hoffman's plan all along, actually. The door shuts to the room, and the coffin slowly lowers to a hole in the floor. The walls start closing in on themselves, and Hoffman is safe in the coffin, and Strom is doomed. He tries in vain to push the walls, but yeah, there's no chance of that working. And in a few moments, we get one of the more painful deaths in the Saw franchise, as Strom is crushed to death. The final nails for Saw 5 go to Agent Strom, and I'm giving him 2.5 nails in a coffin. Gotta give him credit for the first trap he survived. There's no way for him to survive that trap, as it was set by Hoffman. I think he made a brilliant decision to use a pen to give himself the homemade tracheotomy. Obviously, this 100% saved his life. Now, he knew Hoffman was involved somehow, and he did not give up on his investigation. He thought he had Hoffman at the end, but unfortunately, he was outsmarted by him because Hoffman was working with Jigsaw. But I can't say he did anything that was blatantly stupid. He really wasn't stupid. He did find out where Hoffman was and tracked him down. He knew Hoffman was guilty. Now, he survived one Saw trap, and for that, he deserves more than 2 nails in the coffin for sure. But I don't think he did enough for 3, since he was a little bit too eager, I should say. He should have thought about it more, getting some backup. But I don't think he did enough for 3, so I'm going to settle on 2.5 nails in a coffin for 8. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my nails in a coffin for Saw 5. Here's a summary of all the nails I've awarded. Not a lot of kills in this one, but hey, we still got to nail them. This is how the first 5 movies compare with their average nails in a coffin. Saw 4, 1.4 nails. Saw 2, the lowest, with 1.25 nails. Saw 3, the juggernaut, with 2.57 nails in the coffin. Saw 4, somewhere in the middle, 1.61. And we just wrapped up nailing Saw 5, where they had a somewhat high average with 1.9 nails in the coffin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you here next week when I cover Saw 6, which again came out 1 year after the release of Saw 5. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss us now in this entire franchise. If you watch, you know I kind of have to finish covering all of them by Halloween, and I think I have enough time to do that. It should be good. Yeah, I know, okay? You gotta keep freaking reminding me. God. Anyway, sorry about that. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.